All right. Well, let's get started. Welcome to this Wellness Wednesday session for talking about mindfulness. I'd like to say that a lot of what these Wellness Wednesday sessions offer and Whole Teacher, Well Teacher trainings offer are all weave mindfulness in all the time. But this is just a little bit more of like an explicit, explanation and engagement with mindfulness. So, yeah, we're going to start with a guided sit, and as we always do. And so you're always welcome to turn off your screen during this time, and have some privacy with the guided practice. If you'd like to leave your screen up, that is perfectly fine too. Um, so go ahead and get yourself in a posture that feels alert and comfortable at the same time, and finding a way to get still. And if you feel comfortable to do so, letting your eyes close or find a point on the floor on which to gaze and focus, or you can focus on your hands. And just easing into this moment. Our focus for this guided practice is ease and flow, just gentleness. So just begin by noticing your breath. Maybe you feel as you breathe in cold air around your nostrils, and as you breathe out, warm or neutral air around your nostrils or mouth. Maybe you notice the breath in your chest or your belly as it expands and then goes back down with your out breath. I even invite you can put your hands on those spots, your belly and your chest, called anchor spots, to hold your attention there. Just notice your breath for a few moments, breathing in naturally and breathing out naturally. And start to notice your breath through your entire body. And as we notice that and feel that, knowing that we are awakening and renewing every part of you and your body. It's been a long day. Each breath creating more awareness, more presence to this moment and the next and the next. And if you find your mind wanting to skip ahead to later on in the day or skip behind to the past and what happened today before this moment, breathe. Give yourself permission to be here, allowing your mind to settle, easing into this moment, each new moment, just coming back. Trusting with every twist and turn of your attention that you can gently ease into those moments and then ease back into the breath. Let it be easy. Find strength in softness, natural breaths. Feel the breath extending relaxation into your face, softening your face and your neck and your shoulders. Breathe. Noticing if you are wandering to the past or the future. A gentle attention to the breath. Ease back in. Your face is soft. Your neck and shoulders are soft. You feel the weight of your body in the chair. And then continuing to ease back into the breath. And in this moment, wherever you are, present to the breath or the body, or lost in thought, go ahead and open your awareness to whatever comes up for you, whatever you choose, wherever you choose to place your attention. Let that flow. And I'd like to invite you for the remainder of your day, what's left of this day, and maybe even into tomorrow, to let ease flow. Whatever twists and turns your days come into, that you invite ease with each one of those twists and turns, that you invite ease with each unexpected moment, and ease with each beautiful moment, easing in and out. There is a beautiful quote by Bruce Lee that I'd like to share with you as you have settled your mind and body at this point. Flow in the living moment. We are always in a process of becoming, and nothing is fixed. Breathe into that quote. Let it be felt in your body and in your mind. And so now we will slowly start to shift our attention back to this virtual room by slowly wiggling your toes and your hands, maybe even doing a slow motion stretch. And when you're ready, opening your eyes, unfixing your gaze, and then coming back with your beautiful faces into this room. So as you come back in, I'd like you to take a moment to reflect on how that felt to practice a guided practice. And if you would like to write in the chat a response, please do so, or we are a small enough group that you can just unmute yourself and share. Raise your hand if you felt sleepy. Even like listening to myself talk, I was like, I'm getting a little sleepy here. Not that I'm boring. Um, well, thank you for your shares. Yeah, I love that, these pause moments. These are just moments to pause and take time to check in slowly. So thank you for that. So I'd like to invite you to practice a mindfulness practice before I actually talk about mindfulness. I'm going to pose a series of questions to you, and they might feel a little heavy or they might not. Part of mindfulness is exploring the sensations in your body when you are invited to an experience. Okay. So as I pose these questions, some heavy, some not, um, I'd like to invite you to notice what sensations you feel in your body as these questions arise for you. And what I mean by sensations is like hot or cold, tight, heart racing, tense hands, tense face, or relaxed posture, shoulders down, whatever you feel like a rush through the body of blood, whatever happens, those are sensations. And so I'd like to invite you to think about that, as well as what thoughts or emotions arise for you when I pose questions. This is a practice of being openly aware of all of the felt feeling in your body, the felt experience when invited to think about something. So if you'd like, it sometimes helps to close off one sense to focus on another. So we're using our sense of hearing to invite these questions. So if it feels better to just close your eyes in this moment and listen to the questions and let your body just feel the questions, remembering to check in with sensations and emotions and thoughts that arise and just be open to them. And so I'll begin my series of questions. So who are you if you are not busy? Who are you without your schedule? Who are you without the stress and never-ending to-do list? Remembering to check in with sensations and thoughts and emotions. I'm going to pose two more questions. Do you feel suspicious when things are going well or when they are easy? You feel suspicious when not burdened with expectations or obligation, or do you let it flow? When you feel happy, what is happening to create this feeling? When you're ready, you can open your eyes. And here's what I'd like for you to do. I'd like everyone in this call to go to your screen picture and look at the 3 dots in the top right corner. You will see an option that says to rename. Please go to rename and rename yourself mindful, just like I did just now. Everyone.
I probably need to know how to spell mindful.
Will help. The reason I'm inviting you to change your name is for anonymity, for not revealing who you are, because I'd like to invite some feedback and reflection on the experience of those questions. What was alive for you during those questions? To go ahead and write your response in the chat box, and no one will know who you are. Oh, I'm sorry, Wayne. Wayne, if you would like to private chat me, I will put yours on there, or private chat Aaron, I'll put your response on there.
We could all name ourselves Wayne.
Well, we could. We'll do. Wayne, if you are okay with that, we'll do that next time. That's a really nice.
That'd be so flattering.
We're doing it. We're going to do this one more time. Go ahead and take a minute to think about how this experience was. And I want you to take about 30 seconds to 45 seconds to write down, when I was asking these questions and this felt experience, what came up for you? Okay, so I'm going to be quiet for a little bit. Welcome, Laverne. We're just doing some reflection. Okay, good. We're just doing some reflection. So we'll get you back on track in a minute. I'll give you about another 10 seconds to write anything down. Just take a little bit of time to read people's responses. These are all so interesting. I added some stuff too. I'd like to point out a few things. You know, it can be very emotional when you slow down and check in and practice mindful awareness of where you are, especially in relation to the busyness of your work. And I'm boring when I'm busy. I want to acknowledge that, you know, it's okay to feel those difficult emotions. And it's okay to remember that this is information to you. It's just a check-in. It's just a way to remind yourself of like the choices that we make and how we show up and when it's important to take care of ourselves. I also want to bring up how powerful it is to not know who is who on here. And that when we feel safe to speak and share, a lot more can come out. So please feel free, if you have any Zoom meetings ever with children, to use this anonymity practice. And thank you everyone for sharing how you felt. Let's talk a little bit about this quote that I really want to tell you really quick before we move on. It's from a blogger. And this quote is, "Your body is the most intelligent thing you own. You hold a map inside you. Just the discovery is enough to shift the way you see yourself and the world." And just remember that our sensations and our thoughts and emotions, but particularly our sensations in our body, give us a lot of information about what's showing up, you know, what we are aware of and what needs attention. So just know that that is true for you. And thank you for doing that. Let me just say that I'm invited these questions as a way to build our basic understanding of our level of awareness too. And that when we practice mindfulness, we engage with our emotions and experiences with more ease. So the more we practice mindfulness, the more we are able to, have that ease and be able to be aware of what's going on. So let's talk about what mindfulness is. I did not put a definition on a screen. I just would like to invite that mindfulness is a lot of different things. It is a very new thing in research. It's still new in research and scientific study of the brain in relation to mindfulness. A lot of people have a lot of different definitions. You'll find them all over in any capacity. And that's one of the things I love about mindfulness is that it is what you want it to be, but ultimately it's a quality of attention. It's a quality of attention in what's true and here, right now. It's our ability to notice things like sounds and sensations, movement, thoughts, emotions in consciousness or awareness from moment to moment. Because so often we are caught up in the past and ruminating there. We're caught up in the future and what's coming. And this is a practice of training attention to focus on whatever is alive right here, right now. Because let me tell you, our brains can play major tricks on us. And so mindfulness is an opportunity to notice when we are distracted from what is true and right in front of us. And this ability to gently bring our attention back, learning how to do that with kindness. Because if I get distracted and I'm like, God, Jennifer, that was a terrible mistake. I'm not really helping myself trust to come back to the present moment. I'm not going to want to be there if I am harshly telling myself to get there. So that's why this concept of bringing our attention back gently with kindness, with curiosity, with openness is so important. And it is something that has to be learned. So again, mindfulness brings this quality of curiosity to our experiences rather than judgment, which is something we all do very well. In order to bring these qualities within ourselves, it takes willingness and openness, like I said, and kindness, but most importantly, practice to shift more into paying attention rather than being on autopilot. Which brings me to a story about Tesla. You know, the company Tesla? Yeah. So Tesla developed a self-driving car. And the early design, and I'm reading this from a page because I want to get the early design right, had 8 cameras, 12 sound sensors, and a radar system. So all this stuff was meant to self-drive the cars on autopilot without crashing into stuff. So when people were test driving this Tesla, and when it was working right, the car would go at the right speed, depending on traffic. It would go on ramps to the highway, exit off ramps. It would turn, it would move from lane to lane when it was appropriate and safe to do so. It would park itself in a destination. This one guy, now I don't know why he did this, but in the test driving stage of this car, this one guy was driving on autopilot, and the car warned him that he needed to get off autopilot and take control of the steering wheel because the road conditions were dangerous, and the car picked up on that. The car asked him 7 times to take the steering wheel, but he ignored all the warnings. So what happened? You're muted, so you can't answer me, but you know what happened? The car crashed. So my point is this: sometimes autopilot works and sometimes it doesn't. We live a lot of our lives on autopilot. Something happens, I react. Something happens, I follow up with it. Mindfulness takes us off of autopilot. It trains my mind to focus on one thing at a time. It trains my mind to do things like be grateful, to do things like build compassion, build empathy, but most importantly, train my attention to what I'm doing right here, right now, so that I am keeping myself regulated and in check with what's true and what's real. It also, brings a lot of wisdom and trust of our intuition into our worlds. And some of our habits shouldn't be trusted. So to make good choices and to feel a little bit more happy and present, I like to say less happy, more content. I like the word contentment over happy. I think happy puts pressure. So to feel more content, we want to take ourselves off autopilot. And do you ever notice how bossy your mind is, by the way? I love to say this. Aaron's laughing because you have a bossy mind. So like we have a thought and then we totally believe it. Or we have an emotional reaction inside and then we do something based on that reaction. So I was giving an image to Aaron earlier, like of a candy bar. Like I think about Snickers and then I immediately go and buy it. And then, I eat it. I'm not saying that's a bad idea. I'm just saying that's an example of like thought, action, right up against each other. So I don't know if you guys notice that about your minds, because I do. But what mindfulness does is by training my attention in like a practice of paying attention to my breath, even for like 1 minute every day, and then eventually it translating into real time, I'm training my brain not to be so reactive. When I try hard to be mindful, I actually teach smarter and nicer, because when I'm mindful, I'm paying attention to more than just like, I'm paying attention. I'm not just doing the things and regurgitating the information. If I'm not mindful and like somebody's acting out in class, I might respond in a way that is impatient or harsh. And that's okay if it happens, because you practice self-compassion and you move on. We all do it. I do it. Even in mindfulness lessons, I do it. That sometimes autopilot can bring out the worst in me and not the best. And so I wonder if you guys appreciate that. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to raise your hand if you connect to this question. Okay. So like hand up, or you can do the little hand on your, if you want to be fancy, you can do a little hand on your thing. All right. Have you ever said something you wish you could take back? Okay. And then have you ever done something you later regretted? Have you ever not been able to fall asleep because your mind kept spinning and your body felt restless? Yeah. Have you ever had trouble focusing, like when you're learning in like your own class or teaching a class, or you spaced out at any point during any sort of like having a conversation? Okay. Have you noticed that on some days certain things bug you, but other days you're totally fine with it? Okay. Okay, how about this? Raise your hand if sometimes your mind gets like really focused and you're in the zone and you're right there with something that you love for as long as you want, and it's like almost effortless. Like raise your hand a bit in that moment where it just feels so easy to be in that moment. Yeah. Okay, so I have one more question that kind of culminates everything you just answered. Is your mind always trustworthy? Yeah. Should we always obey or listen to it and what it says to do? No. This takes awareness and training of the mind to see what is real and what is not. And I'm going to give you social media, for example. Social media puts these images, these quick images of people's lives. And most people put happy stuff up because nobody wants to see anything unpleasant, because, people don't want to feel sad on Facebook, although some people do that. But it paints this image, and our minds believe that these people are actually feeling like that way all the time. And you can tell yourself that you don't believe that's true, but I guarantee you that all of us in this room have done that at least once, because that's what our brain does. It takes a quick mental picture and then it's set up and wired to react. So we want to learn how to slow that down. We're going to do a practice of attention. And because the more you practice on purpose, the more you're able to see, and this is my favorite part about this, be able to see the difference between practicing awareness and presence and when you're not. The more you practice being mindful, the more you sit and focus your attention, like training the brain by focusing on your breath or doing a body scan. And when you're distracted, you keep coming back. And when you're distracted, you keep coming back. Training your brain with that kind of attention helps you to start noticing more when you're aware and when you're not aware, when you're mindful and you're not mindful. We're going to do a quick guided practice with this, and then I'm going to post some questions for you to put back into the chat box. Just a quick little one. And I'm going to use a bell. So I'm going to invite you again, if you would like to turn off your screens. We're going to do a little guided practice. We're going to do a little guided practice here of training our attention. So if you want your screens off, you are welcome to go ahead and do that. So let yourself get comfortable again. You don't have to be upright either. If you're in a space where you can lie down, you can do that too. Just feet can just rest on the ground. about hip width apart. Your hands can be folded in your lap or palms down or palms up or on a table. And if it feels right to you, you can just go ahead and let your eyes close or gaze down if you haven't already. In a moment, I'm going to ring the bell. And I want you to listen to the sound totally and completely. See if you can put all of your attention into hearing the sound from the beginning through the middle and all the way to the end. And when you can't hear the sound at all anymore, you can just quietly put your hand on your chest. I can't see you. It's just letting yourself know that you're practicing attention and awareness. So here we go. Notice how you feel right now. The next thing that we are going to do is relax. To do this, we're going to notice something that is happening all the time, but we rarely pay attention to it, and that is gravity. So right now, bring some awareness to this subtle downward force that is always acting on the body. Let the body get heavy. Feel the points that are clearly touching the ground or the chair, and let them take the weight of your body. You can even repeat the words, relax, relax, a few times silently to yourself. And let any excess tension present in your body drain down and out. In your body drain down and out. Almost like the tension is just flowing out of your feet, flowing out of the bottom in your chair. Feeling heavier and heavier in gravity. Now take a few deep breaths, and when you exhale, see if you can feel any amount of ease or relaxation in your whole body. And as the body settles, just simply be aware of your whole body sitting. This is mindfulness of the body. Spend the next few seconds noticing what's happening in your body. Are you being aware? What do you notice? You don't have to see anything special. In fact, our experience is usually very ordinary, and that's fine. Just what am I aware of right now? In the body. Train your attention to stay with the body. In a few seconds, I'll ring the bell to signal the end of this moment. See if you can listen to the sound again from the moment you hear it until the ringing fades out completely. And when you can no longer hear it, come back into the virtual room. Hey friends, here's what I'd like you to do. We are all going to change our names again to Wayne. Wayne, I told you I was going to do it. Or you give me a thumbs up if you feel safe with that. Well, Wayne, do you feel safe? Okay. All right, so here's how you change your name for true anonymity. Go to the 3 dots at your picture, click rename, and rename yourself with a capital W, good old Wayne. I love your name anyway, Wayne. I can't wait to be a Wayne. We're doing this because Wayne can't change his name. Well, Wayne, you're still Wayne Stickney, so you're still going to stick out. That's all right. Wayne, you got it. All right, here's what we're going to do. This is all in honor of Wayne anyway. We are going to pose some questions to you for reflection. And in these last few minutes, I'd like to invite you to just write some responses. So Erin's going to pose the first set of questions, and you don't have to answer a long-winded thing, but here it is. What did you notice, or how did that feel? Did you feel more relaxed, or did it bring on more anxiety? So whatever part of that you want to answer, go ahead and type in your response. Or you can unmute yourself and share. I just want to keep this as safe as possible. So continue to write just how it feels. And I'd like to invite a conversation, if I may. Yeah, that's fine. Rhonda, no worries. If you feel comfortable to unmute or write down how you feel with your name there, that's fine. That's up to you. I would like to invite that when we feel more anxious from something like this, that's very normal. I get a lot of people reporting that out. I just want to say that sometimes when we're really busy and we don't notice our stress, but when we relax, sometimes it just comes like rushing into our awareness. And that's not a problem at all. In fact, mindfulness is designed to deal with that. And so as you kind of, if you choose to continue to have like a sit and slow down and take some mindful breaths, your body gets used to those breaks and those moments to let things arise that need attention. And so I just want to remind everyone that that is a very normal thing to do. All right, Erin, will you pose the next set of questions, please? So here's another question. Do we make our best decisions when we're really agitated? So like, do you think being relaxed helps us listen to our own wisdom and make good choices? And I know that sounds like maybe has an obvious response, but maybe it doesn't. Take a minute to either respond in the chat or unmute.
I unmuted myself. I can't tell when I'm anxious or have to make a rash decision or a decision at the moment. If I've procrastinated, I've had some successes because I knew I had to get the job done. And sometimes when I find that that's habitual. For example, if I start having failures when I make those decisions, then I probably will not act as rash, but I've been successful. Likewise, if I do something as planned, that turns out well too. As a matter of fact, my motto is plan your work and work your plan, which drives my husband crazy because I don't like to have to work under a lot of chaos. So I guess as I keep living, I will decide which one is better. But so far, I've had successes when I have to do it. In the crunch, I've been successful.
I think that's a really good point. And that's why I wanted to invite this idea that these questions are not meant to have the right answer. It's a delicate balance. I appreciate that. And, you know, I think that a lot of people are kind of attesting to what you're saying that, you know, then crunch time where we can like get the job done. I can attest to that as well. And being in a relaxed state can feel very uncomfortable. I'd like to remind everyone that often we're uncomfortable with being relaxed and at ease because we're not used to it. And so we have a lot of judgments around that, right? A lot of judgments around if I relax and let go, then A, B, C, and D will happen. So I think what I'm inviting here is that there might be an equal balance of awareness and like ease and relaxation, and, you know, being motivated and pushed. And there's a good balance. I will say that, you know, when we provide reflection time, we do become more wise to ourselves and for ourselves. All right, I have one last question for you. How else might this practice be useful in your life? This practice of slowing down, focusing on the body like we did, or focusing on the breath like we did at the beginning. Those are two things that you can do to practice attention and slowing down. So how might this be useful in your life? And in your class, if you'd like to invite that as well.
I've unmuted myself again. I use this mindfulness with my students. I started it when I started teaching fourth grade because it was so stressful, and this environment in which I worked was so stressful. I always, my students would come to me on 10 because they rotated from class to class. So whatever the teacher did on period 3, they're bringing it to me on period 4. So I started out, we started doing this mindfulness in school. So I started out with inviting the students to come in. We're going to leave everything that we just had, whoever did whatever, last period. Because I knew fourth grade was difficult, and I had students sitting in fourth grade, 2 grades below fourth grade. So I really need them to be relaxed, know that it was a risk-free environment. And it was soothing for me because I knew that they trusted that I was going to be open to whatever. And that they knew that when they got to Ms. Bauer's class, it was just let go, and we're going to make mistakes and we're going to learn together. And this, like I said, this mindfulness, I love it because you can start when you're little and we can use it now. So
Yeah, it is appropriate for all ages, for everyone.
Laverne, one of my favorite things that Jen says when she's talking about those guided practices, those chances for us to slow down and pay attention to our breath and our senses and whatnot, is she calls them like the transition phases, from transitioning from where you were to where you are. And that goes right along with what you were saying. And I think it's so powerful to take that time just to transition instead of, I mean, you know, especially now whenever meetings can be on Zoom, so there's really no transition time. You're bam, 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 bam. And just to take a minute to go from where you were to where you are. Wow.
I do a mindfulness practice in my classroom. I also see rotating classes. I have half an hour with each class. So we have to get in and get our work done quickly. But as teachers say, Maslow's before Bloom's, and this is what can really help with that. And with us, you know, Maslow's before Bloom for us as well. It's going to be hard to plan a lesson if you're tense and not thinking straight. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't feel it. And when you don't feel it, you don't remember it. And when you don't remember it, it doesn't feel organic and authentic. So it does take a spiral right in the autopilot mode.
what grade do you teach?
I teach pre-K through 5 music.
Yeah, Jade. Okay, I want to leave you all with something because it's about to be 5 o'clock and I want to honor your time. I'd like to invite as an action step, you know, trying 1 to 2 times a week in the morning. You can do a guided practice on Canvas. You can, I mean, actually I saw a teacher do one of my, and I'm not trying to plug myself, but if you feel uncomfortable leading it, like doing one of my body scans with her middle school class. So, which I mean, I'd really, you know, I'm trying to put that out there to you as something that's options. There's lots of ways to do this, or just like inviting people to take 5 breaths really makes a difference. Just the idea of intentionally slowing down. So let me just say this quote to you from Positive Psychology before we go to talking about, oh yeah, so Erin's showing you that these Canvas courses, these quick practices and exercises, there's several that you can work with there. There's body scan, setting intentions for the day, and ease and flow. And so they all have appropriate language for older kids, younger. I mean, the older probably more so, but you could look at it, copy it, write it down, take notes, and then try it with your own kids. I give you total permission to do that. I'm gonna leave you with a quote from Positive Psychology. I'm reading you this quote from them. We live in this extremely fast-paced world, and sometimes we forget to check in with ourselves. So as we can see, mindfulness is a state that can be brought on through practice. It's not static, nor are some people born more mindful than others. It involves awareness and impartiality about when we gain what we gain from this awareness. So in an age of social media where opinions, likes, and commentary are more than forthcoming, it's easy to see how non-judgmental reflection can be a welcome change. So even if you practice awareness a couple of times this week, you're winning and you're amazing. And thank you so much for your time. I hope that you go forth with a little more awareness and peace. And thanks for letting us use your name, Wayne. We appreciate you for putting yourself out there, even though it ended up not working. But I love that, though. It was a beautiful attempt and then a little bit of a mess. Thank you, guys. If you'd like to stay on for any questions, you can. Otherwise, we will see you around next time.